up, Blockchain Nation? So today we're going to talk about the merge. The Ethereum merge, why it's so important, what it's all about at a high level, and conclusions on what the impact is going to be on Ethereum, and probably some other stuff. Welcome to All Things Blockchain. All right, so what really is the merge? So Ethereum is one of the biggest crypto platforms besides Bitcoin, one of the biggest projects. Obviously, Ethereum evolved or came into fruition because of the limitations with Bitcoin in terms of scalability. Every blockchain network or crypto platform has to be decentralized or should be decentralized, should be secure, and should be able to scale. So the issues with scalability and some apart from scalability, a feature of Ethereum is the fact that you can write smart contracts on Ethereum. And when Bitcoin initially was created, you couldn't do smart contracts on Bitcoin, but there's other layer 2 solutions that allow you to do smart contracts on Bitcoin, which is another topic entirely. Anyway, so Ethereum is arguably the largest crypto platform after Bitcoin. Now, really, what is the merge? So if you look at the merge, it's a very good diagram that shows currently what the merge is trying to achieve. So it's early 2015, the merge is announced, and then let me just explain at a high level the differences between, or a major difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin is what we call a proof of work consensus algorithm, which means that we have miners who come onto the network. They try to solve a very complex math problem. The first miner on the network that is able to do that gets rewarded, what we call with Bitcoin, which is called a block reward. That helps to keep the platform secure. With proof of stake, it's very different. There's no need for miners to do what is happening on proof of work. On the proof of stake platform, what happens is that the miners or the nodes, the validators stake their ETH. There's no really need for computational power like what happens on Bitcoin. That's how proof of stake works. So the essence of the merge, which was announced in early 2015, is to do one thing, which is to change Ethereum from a proof of work consensus algorithm similar to Bitcoin to a proof of stake consensus algorithm. And so how they're achieving this is what we call the main net, the main Ethereum network. And then this is what we call the beacon chain. So on the main Ethereum network, you have accounts, you have balances, you have smart contracts, and then you have really the state of the blockchain, all transaction, dApps, stake Ethereum, and the rest. But in the beacon chain, we have absolutely nothing. There are no transactions, there are no tokens, no decentralized, no DeFi, no NFTs, nothing, unlike how you have on the current Ethereum mainnet. So the idea from the merge is to move all of this, which is on the mainnet, and then move this to proof of stake, which will be a totally different consensus algorithm, as I stated before. Other things to note: Ethereum state is a large data structure that holds all accounts and balances as well as a machine state. And this explains what proof of work is. Prior to the merge, Ethereum used a proof of work consensus algorithm, which miners use specialized mining equipment to compete against each other to add new blocks to the chain. Anybody who's able to do that gets rewarded, obviously, with a block reward, and new blocks are roughly mined every 12 seconds. And then this really explains what the merge is, what the merge is, where two of them come together, and the rest. Other things to note is Shanghai, the merge update will not include certain anticipated features such as ability to withdraw staked ETH, which will eventually happen later on, which is what the Shanghai is an update to the Ethereum beacon chain. When the beacon chain becomes the permanent chain. So we're going to move away from the Ethereum mainnet to the beacon chain, which, like I said, no longer uses proof of work, but uses a proof of stake consensus algorithm. Then ultimately you have sharding on the beacon chain, which is a proposed solution for scaling Ethereum to support more users. Sharding is a technique of splitting a blockchain into smaller independent shard chains in order to reduce network congestion and increase transaction throughput. Like I said earlier on, one of the limitations with Bitcoin is that you can't scale. There's a limited number of transactions you can do per second, but with ETH, obviously when this sharding is implemented on the new mainnet, which is beacon chain, you'll be able to shard transactions, and then that will also allow it to scale. So you can read this article by Consensus, which goes into details, talks about sustainability, security, and how you can scale. It's a very extensive one. And also there are other, obviously you go to the Ethereum main site, you can also see it as well. So what does all this mean and what has happened so far? So on Ethereum, there are different decentralized applications that are built on top of Ethereum. And so as a developer, you need to have like a test net where you can try out transactions, you can write your smart contracts before pushing it onto the main net. So the Ethereum test net, there are a couple of them. There's Robstein, there's Sephora, there's Corelli. And so currently these test nets have been moved over from proof of work to proof of stake, which has been successful. And so the next phase, which has already happened, as of the time we're recording this video, we have gone live. Sharding is the merge has occurred, and Ethereum is no longer on a proof of work consensus algorithm, but now Ethereum is entirely proof of stake. So what is the effect of all this? First of all, the effect is that it reduces the amount of Ethereum that is issued. Why this has occurred is a huge incentive to improve the security of the Ethereum network, kind of like with Bitcoin. Prior to proof of stake with Ethereum, it was on the same consensus algorithm as Bitcoin, which is proof of work. And how proof of work works is that the miners have to be incentivized for keeping the network secure. So anytime a miner is the first mine node to add new transactions onto the network, that miner gets rewarded with a block reward. So the block reward is included as well as fees into each block. So because we're eliminating the need for a block reward in ETH, with this proof of stake and consensus algorithm, this allows less ETH to be issued. And as this reduces the amount of ETH that is issued, obviously the fact that there's a huge, with economics, when there's a high demand and there's a reduction in supply, it ultimately should affect the price, which is what a lot of people are excited about before the merge, that, oh my God, the price is going to go up for ETH after the merge. But we're still waiting to see how that will happen. Second effect of this is that it makes Ethereum yield bearing, which means that you can earn interest on your Ethereum. Now, prior to the merge, or prior to Ethereum going proof of stake, what will happen before, if you wanted to get yield on your ETH, is that you use a decentralized platform, you stake your ETH, somebody else will borrow it, and then you now get an interest or yield on that using different DeFi platforms out there. Well, how this is different is at the protocol level itself, because of the fact that ETH is no longer has this need to issue block rewards, the protocol itself can give yield or interest to people who are running nodes, which is a huge game changer in Ethereum. Lastly, this is a interesting concept, and people have talked about this. I've even done a video about how Bitcoin uses energy, whether it uses a lot of energy or it doesn't. I'll put a link somewhere below. You can here, you can watch that video and talk about the energy consumption debate. However, it's been a big issue. People have talked about how Bitcoin uses a lot of energy, yada, yada, yada. And so now, because ETH is no longer using a proof of work consensus algorithm, it will not use as much energy as it was using on proof of work, which means it's like 1,000 times more efficient. It's just reduced energy usage by over 1,000 times, which is what the ESG, the compliance people about the Bitcoin energy debate are excited about, the fact that ETH does not use as much energy as Bitcoin, so it has reduced that carbon footprint arguably, and those are some of the potential great effects of Ethereum. And they are the maximalists who believe that Ethereum will overtake Bitcoin as the most important crypto asset. I'm not a maximalist. I just listen to the information, and in my opinion, I think this is great, and let's see how all this plays out. We can't talk about the good things without talking about the bad things. One of the unforeseen, or I'm sure people have argued about this, effects of this is in terms of proof of work. The consensus algorithm proof of work shows that you have to do some work in order for you to get a block reward. The energy that is consumed, that processing power, it's a value. It's something that is tangible, something that you can measure. The argument with proof of stake is that how do I stake ETH? Let's say I'm a powerful country like the United States, and I decide to print money from thin air and use all these printed dollars to buy Ethereum and stake on the network. I've created something really out of thin air, which is the problem we already have today with our Federal Reserve printing money and just, money coming out of nowhere. Money is divisible, it's fungible, it's a unit of account, and it has to be a store of value. Like, what's the value? Where does it come from? I just print out money and then I buy ETH and I stake it. So that's another argument in terms of people are saying that staked ETH, what does it really mean? What does that come from? With the example I just gave of having some country somewhere or some federal government just printing money out of India and using that money to buy ETH and now staking the network, and they have a huge stake on the network, because the way Ethereum works, the more ETH that you stake, the higher the possibility of you being able to be the node that adds a new transaction to the chain or otherwise. Anyway, so that is the argument. The argument is the fact that because it's proof of stake and there's nothing measurable like the energy that's consumed from Bitcoin, that can allow some certain bad actors, not necessarily bad actors, or because you can't be a bad actor on Ethereum. If you're on ETH and you try to do something nefarious, you would lose all the ETH that you have staked. However, you can have somebody that can have control over the network just because of the fact that they can buy a lot of ETH with printed money. Well, that's another argument. So that's really the concept, or one of the, what should I say, cons that people have raised in different debates when it comes to proof of stake. Any new change in tech, there are always going to be issues that surround it. So let's see if, I'm sure the Ethereum community, there are brilliant people out there who solve all the problems that currently are showing up, and we will see how all this plays out. So that's all I have on the ETH merge. Let me know your thoughts below. Are you a proof of stake fanatic? Are you a proof of work fanatic? How do you think how this is going to play out? Love to hear your comments below. So until next time, my wish for you as always is that you learn more about crypto, because crypto is changing and will change the world. And those who get involved early, in my personal opinion, will greatly impact the future. And if that's you, let's go change the world.
Still looking for ways of earning extra income? Clicky lets you earn by sharing content you normally would have with friends. Go to www.clicky.com and register a new account. You can now start looking for any content with clicks and share with your friends and on social media. Once people click on the link shared, you can start earning easily. Find out more about Clicky on any of our social media handles. Clicky. Create, share, earn.